All right, my dogs. Good morning. Sorry, running a little late. It's 6:34. Oh my goodness, September 25th. By the way, if you were waiting here, waiting for me, and I'm not coming, that's the way it might be down the road if you don't subscribe above. If you've been enjoying the 6:30 Club since 2020, make sure subscribe above so you don't lose it so your grandfather in. But anyway, my name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. Welcome to the 6:30 Club, where I try and go over levels, go over the feel, make you guys some money, get you guys situated, get your mind right so you can execute with confidence. If you remember yesterday, the futures were up 8 handles. And I'm like, hey, guys, this is what we call the H-cell setup. Okay, meaning you had a shot across the bow on Monday, you're up a little bit, or whatever that was, Tuesday, I'm sorry. You could short some into strength and then add when it breaks the low, and that was right here. Remember, I was like, hey, you could probably short into 664 or add to your hedges, and then if it breaks 662.17, you then get another trade to the downside. In PS, we went to 559.67. So that was a really good way to make money. Some of you guys that day trade and don't have swing trades, that don't need to hedge, made some good money short. So congratulations to you. Something I usually don't go over every day. Everyone's like, Red Dog, you love to be long. You love to have positions. You love to massage them when you're above the 8 and 21 day. That's true. And we still are. But when you're in this period between now and October 8th, where things tend to be a little trickier, I'm just trying not to get a leg sweep. Nobody wants a leg sweep, including me. I'm back at the highs of my year, high of my quarter, well through it. Most of the Alpha team is doing fantastic. Power plays, Redler all access. So I don't want any leg sweeps where people give back, a third of their month or quarter by falling asleep behind the wheels. Nobody on my watch is going to fall asleep behind the wheel. That's why we get the Red Dog mindset. So you're, doing your thing, getting ready. This morning I was in the sauna already, 20 at 5:20 with a few hundred people, and did a nice workout. And here we are at the 6:30 Club to go over some of the X's and O's. Anyway, what up, Frank? What up? Let's go. So anyway, we'll see what happens here. 559.67 is yesterday's low. Right now the SPYs are, above it. So are we going to have an inside day, or are we going to break that? I have some 660 puts on that I put on 2 days ago for tomorrow. I am short some SPYs, but I'm also massaging some positions also. I'm not fully out of everything, but you got to be a bit careful. Q's did the same thing. Q's yesterday, I went over the same H-cell setup where you could have made some good money. You could Google Scott Redler H-cell setup. And I don't like the H-cell setup. I'd rather buy a dip, red dog reversal, play for momentum, but sometimes the market's not that way. So you have to think clearly so you could execute with what's happening. So yesterday, if you didn't do it with the SPYs, you could have did it with the Qs, right? This is when it broke half of Monday, showing that sellers actually finally had a little power. And then when it broke through 597, you went as low as 593.37. So that was a nice little short trade for those of you who look for that. What up, little Curbster? Nice to be a new member of the Guru Red Dog. I'm not a guru whatsoever. I am just consistent. I've been doing this for 30 years. I just try and, be prepared. I'm not the smartest guy out there, but I am up early. I'm up 4:45. I have a process. I have a routine. I love it. I've already worked out this morning. I've already sweat out like 3 pounds of water. Went in my ice barrel. I'm drinking my iced coffee. I know what's happening around the world, and I'm setting up shop for the day. Anyway, so that's that. Let's move on. Some guys like Red Dog. It's like, you're a boomer. How the hell are you still trading Intel? I'm like, you know what? Intel has been really good to the dog. Why would I still be in Intel? And why did I buy more Intel? Because just like every other pattern out there, this was looking fantastic. Put this on as a power play. Yes, we did. And that was down here, not knowing that they're going to do a deal with NVIDIA, deal with the government, the whole spiel. And PS, those options went from 50 cents to $6. And then when we sold half of the power play shares, everyone's like, why are you holding some? I'm like, well, let's see how much of this gap holds. So what I wound up doing the last few days is I bought some options in the hole. I did. I said we could be a buyer versus 28.73. And I know it's Intel. Intel's been out of play for a decade, but so is Microsoft. Remember when they said Microsoft is where money goes to die from 2001 to 2011? These things can be reborn. So anyway, it turned up yesterday. So not only the options that I rolled up, because I had the $25 calls here, believe it or not, I rolled them up to the 3150s, and I bought the stock, and now we'll see if it gets above 32.28 to see if it can get towards the next level, which is what is this? This is like 30, like 35ish. Why can't Intel get the 35ish? Look what this has done on the weekly for forever. Nowhere, just right here. With all these deals and this and that. So anyway, I figured I'm going to follow the money. I'm going to play with Washington and the big dogs. And if they're doing deals with Nvidia and the government, chances are they're going to get some bigger deals down the road for actually revenue. But anyway, now they're trying to get a deal with Apple. So 90% of success is simply showing up day after day. That's what MLD says. I agree. 90% of success is just getting up. That's why we do 3, 2, 1. If you're ever procrastinating in the morning and your alarm goes off at 4:45 and you're like, let me do one snooze, you do one snooze. And then if you're going to do it again, just commit to 3, 2, 1. Just say, nope, I've already committed to 3, 2, 1. Go 3, 2, 1, just get up. So when you're not tired and you commit to it and you make a promise to yourself, then you use that technique, you just go. But anyway, so Intel is helping me this morning. Great. Tesla's down a little bit, not a big deal. Okay, Tesla has been the best Mag 7 name out there. Yes, it has. So I am still in some stock and I'm in some options. This is, what's this low here? This is a 429-ish. So let's move this up. Let's hope, not hope. I hate using hope, and we don't use hope in trading. That it continues to show relative strength. It showed a lot of relative strength yesterday in a sea of red. That's why I'm long it. And yes, it's down, $3. Not a big deal. Down $2. It's only down $2. Maybe we go red to green. And if we do, what would that do? That would build a nice little upper flag here for then maybe a sideways action that'll take out 444 to head towards the highs. One of my friends were like, Red Dog, October 3rd, they're buying the kajesus out of the $500 Tesla calls. You got to get some $500 Tesla calls for October 3rd. I'm like, you know what? Kind of makes sense. If this continues to trade the way it's trading, and it wants to get above this 488, which it hasn't done, and it's continuing to go sideways and go, maybe I will buy some $500 calls. I think I got to get another power play on here because Tesla's been a power play since here, and we only have a third left. So maybe I will do power play options with Tesla. But anyway, Tom Lee says Bitcoin's going to 200,000 by year end. Well, not today. It's down this morning. But anyway, I like the idea. So this is everybody talking to me. I'm not just talking to myself. We got Kenneth Rosenberg, PCEs at 8:30. I'm taking Kenneth out today at 5:30 at the standard. We're getting a Red Dog sandwich. He's been adding a lot of value to the 6:30 club. He's got a positive mindset. He tunes in at 25:20. And I promised him a Red Dog sandwich. We're going today. Looking forward to meeting you in person. Hopefully, you're not going to throw a tomato at me. No, I'm kidding. No one's ever thrown a tomato at me. Anyway, so everyone's talking about CIFR plus 18% this morning. Okay, you've been all over that. I have not been on this one. Let's see what's it doing today. CIFR up $1.22. These things have been in fuego. Yesterday I posted a picture of IREN. Okay, IREN. Okay, was a name that my institutional friends brought me that I never knew anything about. And right around here, I put it on the alpha team. I put it on every single day. I've charted this. And unfortunately, sometimes I myself, as a chief strategist, don't play a few names as much as I should. And some guys actually change their entire life with this stock. And they never knew about it a year ago. It followed every single rule that Red Dog puts out there in Evergreen World. It had a tight pattern and went above it. It gapped up and it never filled this gap, showing power. It held the 8-day, right? You're long things above the 8-day. You're not short them. There are a lot of people shorting this thing, saying, "Oh, this it's a minor. It's this. It's crap." P.S. They can give their clock fully cleaned. And you don't want to get your clock cleaned unless you're on a bachelor party. No, I'm kidding. You never do that as well. I'm just saying, in general, you don't fight trends. You stick with them. And this one, wow. I remember saying this could be $50 when it was 25, and holy cow, it's going to be $50. So anyway, new names do show up. I've been a little bit more focused on the Wolf, which hasn't been great, but it's been fine, a little slower. It's one of my 10 positions, so I've been buying dips and trading around it. I do think at some point it gets above 1177. And if Tom Lee says we're going to 200,000, first of all, he has no idea. It's just a friggin' number in his head. But typically we do get stronger in Bitcoin in October, November. It's only September 25th, so you have some time. You go to the weekly here. In my humble opinion, the Wolf, I'm going to stick with this, and I'm going to keep building a big position in options. It's going to go to 14 to 1680. So I still like this a lot. It's doing this while crypto's not doing this. So I like this a lot. So, it doesn't have the power play component, that iron has, but that's why it's still slower. Look what happened the last time this thing went in fuego. Went to 43. I'm not saying it's going to 43, but I like it. Anyway, Stargazer. Kenneth brings a lot of good ticket groups. He does. He works hard. I like it. Grab, can you be long-term? So Grab, I've been in also. It's been a nice trade. Not a barn burner. It went from 550 to, look at that, I just did a red dog reversal sell here. So that means it might pull in a little bit. I said it can go to 740 at some point in the fall. It still can. But at this point, this was your little 3-week trade. Look what it did on the daily. I'm smaller here. We were buying the 550 calls in Grab, here. And then it got through 572. And now it needs some time to kind of chill out here. So do I like it long term? I don't know enough about it. All I know is I do like DoorDash long term. And DoorDash was another new name that we did really, really well with over the last year. And this is supposed to be like the DoorDash of Southeast Asia / whatever it's called, Europe. So it's doing all right. Scott, where do I think Rivian is going to go? I don't know. Rivian, Tesla's doing really well now because of the whole AI component, the futuristic humanoids, the autonomous driving, and Rivian is an EV. And the EV business right now is not fantastic. But the chart's doing better. Stock's been beaten up. I see a lot of Rivians on the road. So I do think if Rivian could hold this 15 area, it could go towards at least 17. And if it has another deal with Saudi Arabia or something like that, maybe it goes better. So Rivian is not like a focus. It's just one of the names that I have because it's been acting pretty well. And when Tesla, is going and Tesla is barking, when the dog is barking, the tail wags, and this is like a little piece of the tail. Okay, so Johnny Manglani says Grab is Singapore and Southeast Asia. Okay, I get it. Let's Go says CRWV looks great. I think it does look great, actually. This is CRWV. It's been rebuilding really well. It held where it had to yesterday. It's got a little bit of a bull flag. Yeah, this looks pretty good. I think it could work its way higher. 148.50 is the next level. I am not in this. I'm actually in ARM, and finally it perked up a little bit yesterday. It's not doing what I thought it would do, but the semis are kind of under pressure. They sold NVIDIA off after that big awesome news that everyone got so excited about. But anyway, I stayed with some options, and as long as this holds this 140 area, if the market doesn't implode in the next week or two, I think ARM looks pretty good too. I'm in some options. Maybe go out a little bit. Go out 2-3 weeks, and maybe it fills this and gets better. If the market wants leaders, this could be a leader. By the way, I'm in LAC still. Nice trade. I got to hand it to the Alpha team. LAC, I don't know that much about it. All I know is I was sitting here doing the recap a few days ago, and I think Fibonacci's grandson is like, "Hey, big news, LAC. Trump administration taking a stake," and we bought it after hours, and I still have it. It's up 98 cents, which is nice, 16%. I just trimmed half. That's why I'm in early. I trimmed some at 740, and I have a little bit left that I'm going to try and stick with. That was a nice little overnight trade. I've also trimmed a little Intel that I have. Nice little overnight trade. Anyway, what was really good to me yesterday? JD and the Chinese names. I didn't have Baba. I didn't have Baidu because I kind of took my profits and got away from there, unfortunately. This is when I was all over Baba down here. We did it as a power play. I think I had it as a power play option, and now it's got a gap. So I guess does it hold this 175 and continue? This is 175-ish. Here, I think it's a little extended and a little hard to buy now, but we did make a ton of money in this. I mean, and you just got to take a piece of it. And what did it do? Oh, what a quinky dink. Strong stocks hold the 8-day. You don't short strong stocks above the 8-day. I will say JD made me a lot of money yesterday. And I broke a lot. I didn't break rules here because it was options, but if you remember, I had JD on as a power play here, $33 calls, and then I reduced into this spot, the 33s. I pulled in, I bought the 35s, and then I reduced those, and into this pull-in, I bought the 35s, and then boom, that was yesterday. So I I sold some of the 35s into the strength, and then it pulled back a little bit, and I bought some of the 37s. That's what you call rolling up options and taking some profits, and then on a dip, continuing the trend. And I do think this could continue. There was a lot of news out of Asia, and China and this and that they rolled out all these AI assistants. A lot of people don't really consider this an AI play, but it's an AI play. So anyway, I'm in a bunch of that. Grace Hart reposted what stream? My stream? Okay, that's cool. You know, it's funny, Oklo. JD looks interesting. Yeah, it's trying. You know, by the way, it's done a whole lot of nothing. You know, if you look at the last time this was frisky, it was much friskier than this time. But we got to have the market hold in there a little bit. Anyway, so some people like Red Dog, you know, Oklo. Okay, so I just want to teach you something a little bit here. Okay, I found this name down here. A lot of you guys were with me. It was in the six. We talked about this a lot in the 630 Club, a lot. You know, nuclear for energy, and people are like, well, revenue, it's pre-revenue, it's pre-earnings, it's pre-this, it's pre-that, it's a piece of junk. I'm like, well, technically, it looks pretty damn good. And then as a group, you have NNE, you have SMR, you have all these, and I made a lot of money from 1260 all the way up to 28. And then I remember saying, hey guys, it's rebuilding. There's some commitment here. You know, this looks pretty good again. And I remember playing it in here again, and then, you know, it hit 59-ish. You know, it made a lower high. It broke the 8 day, and this was the last time I played this. And it came all the way in, and it's going to zero, and then it kind of got reborn here, and people have been shorting this thing, you know, the entire way. And you know, it went. Look at this thing. Okay, so I get it, but you know, it's an opinion. Sometimes you can't stay solvent until an opinion turns into a market play. And I know most people, you know, if I was short this thing, I would be out of my mind. I'd be hating the world, and I don't even know what I'd be doing. P.S. Now, you know, it's a little bit of a, it could be a little bit of a short all the way down to the 8 day. But all I'm saying is, I know a lot of guys out there were saying, hey, quantum is bullshit. Quantum is a scam. But meanwhile, IONQ technically was not a scam here. This is very nice. You know, I had this whole group. You know, I made money in RGTI, I made money in QBUBT, and everyone's like, well, it's a futuristic. I'm like, it doesn't matter. People pay for future technology, and as long as the technicals are telling you to be in it, don't fight it until the technicals say, hey, you got to move on. Anyway, so with that being said, technically here above the 8 day taking out levels, to me, quantum is awesome. Now, you know, probably needs to pull into the 8 day, but I'm just saying, if you have an opinion about, you know, what should be going on in the future because of fundamentals, sometimes the technicals, you know, are much better to follow daily versus the fundamental thoughts that maybe the market doesn't realize, and you can run out of a lot of money until you're right. I know a lot of people, you know, running, they shorted Oklo up the yin yang in that group, and anyway, that's just my little, you know, thought of the day. Ethereum, I'm not concerned at all, Kenneth, because I'm in very small, and I said to you that September is not for crypto. Okay, it happens to be a little stronger because, you know, the market was so strong, but typically of October, November, because it's weaker in September, so it gets a nice bounce and goes. So I'm not concerned about anything. Be concerned if you're not looking at the technicals. Be concerned if you're too big and you're like, wow, look at this big gap down that it never filled. You know, and there's a lot of room. This is when we're buying the hell out of Ethereum at 22. Had it on as a power play and everything. And now I'm just tiny bit just to stay a little bit engaged, a little bit. You know, so it shouldn't be concerning, except for, hey, if you have too much of it and you're trying to front run a move in October, you know, this can get to here if it wants to, or it can get to the 50 days. So you got to know what's going on when it's going on. Anyway, with that being said, guys, at 6:53, I appreciate you. You know, this weekend change could be a little tricky. I did say that to you guys. You know, I put out a tweet to Redler All Access, which is my home crew. That on, I think it was, what's today, Tuesday, I was buying 660 puts in here because of the way the action was, and I'm short some premium and I'm short some SPY, so it's helping me with some of my 25% leftover longs. You know, time and place for everything. You know, you got to adjust. You got to know what's cooking, and you know, trade the market that's in front of you, not the one that you want. For today, we'll see just 559.67 hold. If not, there's really nothing here until the 21 day, and you know, act accordingly. And with that said, ASTS, what a great trade, by the way. That was fantastic. I was buying the 41s here, and unfortunately I got out of it at 49. So I made 8 points. I didn't do this. So now we'll see what happens. Hopefully it hangs here a little bit and then rebuilds and we get to go again. Because as I've said numerous times, I don't think that 61 is going to be the historic high for ASTS. With that said, good luck today, guys. Quick feet, preparation, get your mind right. You could do this.